Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Both of you look very nice today. How are we doing?
I look good.
I was actually thinking I look better than you do. I was thinking that.
Well,
I don't know. That's what Jenny told me before the show, right? I don't
maybe
know.
if you have some pink glasses, you be good. You be good.
You know what? I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this first topic because I can't wait to hear what I have to say about this first topic.
Well, let's get it.
I'm with you guys. I like it. Looking good, feeling good. And guys, Rob Parker will be joining us later as well. But let's get this show started and talk about the latest with Clemson. So here's the thing, guys. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney had to defend himself for how he handled things when an assistant coach used the N-word in practice back in 2017. Dabo said it was used in a teaching manner and not directed at a player. Then another former player called Dabo out for suggesting players not participate in a sit-in related to diversity issues on campus. Then Dabo also had to defend himself from criticism he received for wearing a Football Matters shirt over the weekend. Shannon, do you have a problem with Dabo's response yesterday?
Skip, I've just come to the realization that Dabo Swinney and I are going to see this issue very, very differently. The first 2 minutes of his, whatever that was, that tour, that press, that video, I thought he was just rambling. I really skipped because everything was about football. I'm just a football coach, and, Clemson has been a leader on and off the field for the last decade. You won a bunch of games. It's changed your profile. Yes, you've been as successful at any program in college football. You're moving into one of those pantheon great head coaches. That's what Clemson has done. But don't make it seem like Clemson has bridged the gap and been this great harbinger of peace and world peace and on race relations. Come on, coach. Skip, the problem that I have with Dabo is that when it comes to certain issues like this, he's just a ball coach. But then later in the video, he goes on to say that, as a football coach, my job is to mentor and educate these young men and help. I'm like, wait a minute now. You just can't be a ball coach in one instance when it serves you, and then all of a sudden, you want to be the ball coach that mentors and help and educate these guys. Skip, in everything that he said, we're going to do our part. We're a unified team. I really like the leadership on this team. This team is really good. Skip, does he understand, the issue that's going on? His team can't help it by winning football games. Does he realize that? It's going to help his fan base. But it's not going to help the situation that's going on outside of his fan base. Skip, it's hard for Dabo to get past what he said. Dabo, because when this happened in 2016, Dabo was very, very outspoken on what Cap did. And he even said, Skip, where is that? Oh, I think there's a lot of things in the world. Not everything is bad. This world is falling apart. Some of these people need to move to another country. Boy, that's very convenient, ain't it, Skip? You see what happens when you try to bring about change that might all of a sudden give you just, the mistake people make, Skip, is that if I get something, that doesn't mean it's coming from you. You have rights. I want rights equal to yours. But in me fighting for those rights, you assume that I'm taking your rights. No, I just want equal rights to what you have. That's it, Dabo. But Skip, I just don't get it. And he just prayer and faith. Skip, does he realize we've been praying and having faith for over 400 years? 401 years to be exact. Skip, you remember the story of Job. Job had everything, and God took all his livestock, took his kids. And his wife said, Job cursed God. She said, no, I wouldn't. But when he took his health, what did Job do? Job cursed the day he was born. He did. So even everybody has a breaking point, Dabo. What can't you get about that? It's easy to pray when you make $9 million and you're in the majority, white man in America making $9 million. It's easy to pray. It's easy to believe. But try that being broken down, being looked less than for 400 years and still keep that same faith. And a lot of people have. But Dabo, what we need you to understand that this is a problem and football can't solve it. Skip, he's like, well, I would never tell my players they shouldn't go do something, but I was just trying to inform them what they were getting themselves into, educate them. You're just not Joe Citizen doing the sit-in. You're absolutely right, Dabo. So when you open your mouth about Colin Kaepernick, you're not just some white man in America. You're the head football coach at Clemson University. That carries a lot of weight. You say, Skip, He said it carries a lot of weight when they see football players. That's going to be on the news. Exactly where you landed when you said what you said about Colin Kaepernick. I guess he forgot that part, Skip. But I just think the thing is that, and then somehow he's like, his coach, Danny Perriman, using the N-word. Skip, I don't understand how you correct somebody by using the N-word. Normally, if a kid says a bad word, the parent goes, no, we don't say that word. They don't say the word that the child said and said, you don't say you know what. They say, that's a bad word. We don't say it.
Good point.
In his correction, he uses the word to correct the huh? He thought, Dabo said, well, he thought he was talking to him. Really? Really? He said, I blocked that, that N. How's that talking to you?
I blocked the wrong.
Right. Right.
Right.
How's that? Were you the D lineman? Were you the linebacker? So how would you assume he's talking to you? You didn't. And then Dabo said, I would fire coach on the spot if he said that to a player. Dabo, I'm not patting your ass on the back for doing that. You should. Dabo wants applause, Skip. I would fire him. I would like to think every coach in America would fire coach if he said that to a player. Skip, I just don't get it, Dabo. I really don't. I'm just a ball coach. I'm just this and prayer and faith and prayer and faith. And we've been praying and having faith and praying and having faith. And your football programming isn't helping that, Dabo. So, like, well, what are we going to do? Everybody got a lot of talk and no solution. Well, the solution isn't what you're suggesting. Oh, Dr. King, Skip, he said, I think the answers to our problems are exactly what they were for Dr. King. Skip, does he realize Dr. King was assassinated 52 years ago? And they're the exact same problem. And he said, Dr. King changed the world, okay? From your perspective. Because you went from being growing up poor in Alabama to the head football coach at Clemson, making $9 million a year. For you, there are a lot of blacks that's no better off in 1968 than they are in 2020. And that's fact. So, Dabo, you missed the mark on this one. I thought it was a lot of rambling. I thought it was a lot of kudos to your program, a lot of kudos to you and your coaching staff, but it did not address the issue about what brought you back into this, and that was that young man's accusation. Well, Dabo confirmed it, about using the N-word and what you're going to do to help advance the football.
I'm sorry, but for me, this went way beyond just missing the mark. For me, from my point of view, what Dabo has recently said and not said and done and not done is even worse than what Drew Brees said.
Right.
I'm talking about the totality of everything we've heard from Dabo, everything we've seen from Dabo. It's even worse than Drew Brees. And I don't think we're going to hear any apologies anytime soon from Dabo, because that was as close to a quote-unquote apology as you're going to get. Clearing of the air, a stating of his principles. It just, the more he talked, the worse for me it got. And by the way, before I launch on this, let's be clear, there's a lot to like about Dabo Swinney. You know him.
I know him.
I don't know him, but I know a lot of people who do, and I've watched him very closely. He reminds me in some ways of Drew Brees. There's a lot to like. But here we go again. This is nothing but this elite, white, oblivious insensitivity, in both cases, cloaked in Christianity.
Yes.
Both cloaked in Christianity. And I can say this because I am Christian, and I don't like what I heard from either man, because both of these men have huge clout. Drew Brees holds every all-time passing record. Dabo Swinney over the last 5 years has become the winningest coach in all of college football.
Yep.
These are white men with clout, but they refuse. Maybe Drew's starting to see the light, but so far Dabo has refused to see the light of what an agent for change he could be as such a powerful white man. But instead, he chooses to insulate himself in his perfect little bubble in the kingdom he rules down in Clemson, South Carolina.
But you understand that, baby?
King of the kingdom.
Okay.
Okay? You got it? Now, let me start with the T-shirt he dared to wear over the weekend. Football matters. And then allow me to also comment on his comments about it yesterday, about wearing that T-shirt. He basically said exactly what you don't want to hear, which is he basically said all lives matter. That was his answer yesterday. That was the answer that got Grant Napier, the legendary longtime voice of the Sacramento Kings, fired in response to DeMarcus Cousins via Twitter. Remember that one? Oh, DeMarcus asked him, what do you think of Black Lives Matter? Oh, all lives matter. Boom, gone, right? There are only 3 coaches to me in college football who, in the climate we're living in right now, could get away with wearing a Football Matters T-shirt over the weekend and then saying, I think Black lives significantly and equally matter. God loves us all. That's pretty much the equivalent of all lives matter, correct?
Yes.
Okay, only 3 coaches could get away with that. Number 1, Dabo, and I think he's probably going to get away. I'm talking about get away with that without being fired.
Right.
So it's Dabo, it's Coach Saban, who I think would be way too smart to wear a Football Matters T-shirt at a time this nation is on fire to fix a system in which Black lives have not mattered to white cops. We've gone on for a decade now of too many white cops killing unarmed Black men and women. It's as simple as and as deep and powerful and dangerous as that. That's the issue. And yet it's being oblivious. It's being insensitive to the cause. Nick Saban is too smart to be insensitive. And by the way, the 3rd coach would be Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. He would be more likely to wear a Black Lives Matter T-shirt. Okay, so that.